Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. It's your man God of Dots back with another NFL team preview. Season is about to kick off, man. I hope it's a great season. I'm excited. I hope you are excited too. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, comment, all whatever. All is appreciated, all is welcome. I am always humbled, always humbled. All right, let's kind of just get into it. Let's jump off to it. This week we have really been focusing in on the NFC South, doing a team by team breakdown. Next week, kind of look ahead. I'm sorry, this is looking ahead. Next week, I'm not sure. I'm just seeing when you preview the. You know what? For you, Gator Girl, I'll do AFC South next week. I'll do AFC South next week. That should be another interesting week of team previews. But this week, I want to kind of finish up and wrap up the NFC South. If you've been watching the first two shows, I said this division to me is up in the air. I can make a case for each and every one of these teams to possibly win a division. I can also make a case for each one of these teams to have a losing record. As all teams in the division had a losing record last year. Tampa Bay, we're talking about them today. They are the defending division champions, if you want to call it that. It's not much to be proud of to win a division with a losing record, but hey, it is what it is. Miss Murph, how you doing? They've been good, surprisingly. Thank you, Gator Girl. Thank you for the compliment. It is always welcome. But like I've been saying all week when I've been breaking down the NFC South, I can make a case for each and every one of these teams to possibly win a division. If you watched last week's shows, I was breaking down my tier 1, tier 2 contenders. Notice I didn't have any of the teams from the NFC South in that equation. Like I said, I think you can make a case for each one of these teams winning the division. I don't think you can make a solid case for either one of these teams making a deep run into the playoffs. And when we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we have to talk about the biggest move through the offseason was the retirement of Tom Brady. Tom Brady retired after 2 decades plus of excellence. Had a decent, I would say decent, nothing to rave about, nothing to be really down about. Had a very decent year, but Father Time catches up to us all. And Tampa Bay made a lot of wholesale changes. If you look at the rest of the teams in the division, Tampa Bay is probably the one team in the division that looks like they're in a rebuilding mode. Not only do you have the retirement of Tom Brady, you also have a lot of guys being released, a lot of contracts expiring. And some of the guys that they brought in really don't move the needle. And when I say really don't move the needle, if we're going to talk about Tom Brady, we got to talk about the quarterback position. And Baker Mayfield is a guy that doesn't move the needle. Baker Mayfield, last time we saw him on the field, had a pretty good game for the Rams in spot duty, but started the season last year, starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. It didn't go well. They ended up letting him go. He ended up hooking on with the Rams later on in the season. They chose not to bring him back. He ended up going to Tampa Bay. Now I think Baker Mayfield has a chance to start. But the reports coming out of the Tampa Bay camp is that Kyle Trask has looked very good so far doing OTAs and mini camps. He's got a firm grasp of the system. He should be. He's been there for a while. And Baker Mayfield is not that a remarkable talent to where he can supplement anybody for a starting quarterback position. But like I said, if you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have to start with quarterback in the huge drop off. Whether you thought Tom Brady fell off, whether you thought Tom Brady was washed up, it is a huge drop off as far as talent and production. I think Kyle Trask has the ability to win the starting quarterback position. The question that I would have for Trask is Tampa Bay going to make adjustments? You're going to have to make adjustments. Your running game is going to look a lot different. Your receivers, though, still good. Still good. You still have Chris Godwin. You still have Mike Evans on the outside. But overall, the team is going through some changes. You had the trade of Shaq Mason in the offseason. A move I did not understand. I think you in the NFL, when you get a hold of a quality offensive lineman, you got to keep those guys in place because you need continuity. If no other place in quarterback position and on the offensive line, especially when we're talking about bringing in a new quarterback, Kyle Trask, who has no starter experience. We're not sure what he's going to look like on the pro level. We know what he looked like on the college level, star of Gator Girls, Florida Gators, Roll Tide, and all that good stuff. But he has some weapons to work with. But like I said, the defense is going to, the offense is going to look a little bit different. Like I said, you had Leonard Fournette being let go in the offseason. Now, I like the running back core that they have, but none of these guys jump off the page to me. Rashid White possibly are going to be penciled in as a starter, but I think Tampa Bay is going to go with more of a running back by committee approach. And make sure y'all tune in Friday because I will be addressing excuse me, the running back situation going on around the NFL, but I'll dedicate an entire show to that. But it is some weapons on the outside, but the offensive line, you have to take a hit moving off of Shaq Mason. I know Tampa Bay is not going to go full tear down, rebuilding mode because a lot of the guys they still have are still pretty good pieces. You had a return of Ryan Jensen, one of the best centers, when healthy. In the NFL, you do have Tristan Wirfs on the outside as a tackle. Tight end doesn't blow me away. I think Kate Otten is a pretty good player. He's not a Kelsey, but who is. But I like some of the pieces they brought in on the draft. The guys that they brought in, they're not going to jump off the page at you. They're not household names, but I think they did a pretty good job investing in the offensive line and on the defensive side of the ball. And I think Tampa Bay, if they're going to be competitive this season, I don't know if the offense is going to be able to come out the gates running, but I think with the pieces that they have on defense, because they do have playmakers at all three levels of the defense. And when you're talking about defense, we want to talk about defensive line, and it begins and ends with Vita Vea. A big, massive defensive tackle, one of the better defensive tackles in the league when we're talking about stopping the run. Question with Vita Vea, can he stay healthy for an entire season is always a question. A very large man. I'm not sure how to say the young man's name, Kalijah Kancey. I do like the guy they drafted from Pitt. He reminds me, and I'm not going to say he's going to play at the level of Aaron Donald. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to go out on that limb, but athletically, he profiles as an Aaron Donald type of guy with size, who has surprising speed and strength at that position. They're not going to ask him to be a run stopping. I think they have him penciled in as defensive end in their scheme. He may be one of the breakout players as far as rookies are concerned. I do like I said, I do like his athletic profile and the fact that they're not going to plug him in at defensive tackle. Allow Vita Vea and some of the other bigger bodies such as a Logan Hall to kind of handle shoring up the middle of that defense as far as the run defense is concerned. I think Kancey has a potential to get out and maybe rack up about 7 to 10 sacks in this scheme. I think Tampa Bay is going to play a little bit more aggressively on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're going to have to play a little bit more aggressively on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know if, like I said, the offense is a question mark. And question mark at quarterback, what does Kyle Trask look like? If he is penciled in as a starter, right now he's the leading candidate. I've seen enough game tape and game feel to know what I'm getting from a Baker Mayfield, and it is not going to move the needle for me. So I think the defense is going to have to carry their weight through the season. Now, I do like the talent that they have on the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, they have talent at all three levels. Two of the better inside linebackers, Levante David, Devin White. I do like the pieces that they have on the back end. They're not blow away talents, but they're solid talents. Jamel Dean at cornerback. I like Ryan Neal and Winfield as a safety combo. The question that you got to have with Tampa Bay, and reason why you saw a lot of pretty much a whole roster change when we're talking about some of the guys that got released, got cut, contracts didn't get picked up or whatnot, is the team is trying to get much younger, much more athletic on both sides of the ball. But you got to start somewhere. But they lost a lot of key veteran players. I mean, this is a little bit of a younger team. But some of the pieces that they have on the defensive side of the ball, those guys are a little bit older. Levante Davis, no spring chicken. Vita Vey with the injuries that he's had over recent season is no spring chicken. Can this defense hold up long enough till the offense can come around and be competitive? Um, I need to see Kyle Trask really get some reps in the preseason. I'm not too keen. If I'm the coaching staff, I kind of know what I'm getting from a Baker Mayfield. He can probably get second team reps in practice. Get a lot of work in training camp, which starts officially for all players next week. But I need to see Trask on the field. Haven't seen much work from him other than a couple mop-up duty spots. I think Trask is athletic enough to get out of the pocket a lot more than Tom Brady ever would. But what does his pocket presence look like? Like I said, we have no real film on him. He profiles as a pretty good NFL quarterback, maybe not Pro Bowl level just yet, but we're not going to know anything until he gets out on the field. We're not going to know anything until he gets out on the field. In the case I have with Tampa Bay, maybe if they'd have kept Leonard Fournette, and it's a possibility they could still bring in a running back in training camp. Dalvin Cook is still a free agent out there. You can bring in suitable upgraded running back. I think this team leans heavily on the run game if they're able to get it. Wasn't one of the better running teams last year. Maybe they would be a lot better this year. Take some of the pressure off of Kyle Trask if he started. Allow Chris Godwin and Mike Evans to be the dominant receivers they can be. But we got to see. And Todd Bowles, I think Todd Bowles is in a make or break year for me. I think Todd Bowles is in a make or break year for me. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers start out slow, I wouldn't be surprised if Todd Bowles is, let go at some point during the season. I think Tampa Bay is, out of all the teams in this division, the team that's in the most transition. I think Carolina is a team that is on the rise and ready to be competitive. I think the Atlanta Falcons are a team that's on the rise and ready to be competitive. The New Orleans Saints, who we'll be discussing tomorrow, I think they're poised to possibly take control of this division. Tampa Bay looks like the weakest of the four, but I can't overlook the veteran players that they have. I think Todd Bowles is a good coach. Not great. I think he's a good coach, but if the team starts out slow due to the offense not being able to get on track, and this wasn't one of the best offenses last year, even with Tom Brady at quarterback, it wasn't a team that was lighting up. They had trouble scoring the ball. I know for about a 6-week stretch, they failed to score over 20 points a game. I think the team will be better. But I look at Tampa Bay, like I said, I can make a case for everybody, but Tampa Bay is probably the weakest case I can make due to not only Tom Brady being gone, and it's hard to replace him. And I don't think Tampa Bay, in my all honesty, I don't think Tampa Bay really tried to go out and get a suitable enough replacement. Jimmy G was on the market. Derek Carr was on the market. You could have made a move for him. There's other guys on the market you could have made a move for. I'm not saying you should have went for Aaron Rodgers, but I think you're banking on Kyle Trask making it through the season. And I know what I'm getting from Baker Mayfield. I'm not getting high level play. I'm not getting high level production. Sorry, people. I am not Skip Bayless. I am not a Baker Mayfield fan. I've seen enough from him. It's always, people making excuses for him. He don't have talent. He don't have this. He don't have that. The good ones make do, the great ones overcome. And Baker Mayfield has shown, even when you give him weapons, he's not lighting it up. I think the offense is going to be the biggest problem that this team has for this upcoming season. I don't think they're going to be able to score enough points to be very competitive in a lot of these games. Once you look at their schedule, I could see Tampa Bay ending up with a sub 500 record. But in this division, I mean, you can make a case for all of these teams ending up with a sub 500 division record. As you saw last year, Tampa Bay won it with the 89 record. It wasn't, this division is weak when you compare it to other divisions such as the AFC East, NFC East, AFC West. Just about every other division, this is probably the weakest one from top to bottom. But Tampa Bay has a chance. Hey, Play ball control. Don't turn over the ball. Allow the defense to get out there and make some plays. Stay close in these games, and hopefully you'll be able to pull out some of these games. Like I said, I don't expect Tampa Bay to be lighting it up on the offensive end, but I do think the defense, with some of the pieces that they added in the draft, some of the youth they infused into this defense, I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be able to kind of hold their ground. When you're looking at the rest of the division, uh, they're strong on defense. In Carolina, probably the strongest unit on in Atlanta, outside of special teams, of course, is probably going to be the running game for the Falcons. I think New Orleans. We're going to talk about them in depth tomorrow. If Calvin Kamara, excuse me, not Calvin, Alvin Kamara wasn't getting suspended, he's possibly looking at 6 games. If he wasn't getting suspended, I'll probably have New Orleans as my prohibitive favorite, but I can't really do that now with him possibly being out the first 6 games. Tampa Bay, I like I said, I predict my pick, and y'all know how I am about my pick. Gary Girl can tell you about my pick. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. I could see Tampa Bay ending off the season with a 6-11 record. I don't think the team is going to be able to overcome the challenges that they're going to have on the offensive side of the ball. Like I said, the pieces that they have at the running back position, they're okay. Quarterback is kind of hit or miss. If I'm Tampa Bay, I'm already looking at my next head coach. I like Todd Bowles, but this is not the right situation for him. You need to bring in a more offensive minded head coach. And I'm not going to say tank Tampa Bay, but you do have a very good quarterback class coming up in next year's draft. I might be leaning towards see what I have for Kyle Trask, ride him for the entirety of the season. Keep Baker Mayfield around as insurance, but I'm just a guy on the microphone. I'm not the head coach. I'm not the general manager. I'm not the guy calling the shots. But if I'm Tampa Bay, this is for me. If you're going to tear it down, let's tear it down completely. I may be even looking to move on from some of the talented players that we have on both sides of the ball. Still remain some of these veterans, see what I can get for them, possibly with some trades or something like that. Get off of those contracts. I mean, just tear it down. And I think Tampa Bay is in a position where if they could tear it down within the next year or two, and be in a perfect position to rebuild very quickly, because I don't think any other team in this division is ready to assert their dominance over the division. Like I said, I can make a case for each and every one of these teams to possibly win the division. Tampa Bay probably be the weakest case I could probably make based on the moves that were made as far as retirements, guys not being brought back. You're talking about wholesale changes in Tampa Bay. I think you just go ahead and admit, hey, we're in a rebuilding mode. Tear this joker down. Start from scratch. Possibly get a high draft pick. Like I said, this upcoming quarterback class is probably one of the best quarterback classes as far as projected talent in the past. I would say 10 to 15 years. I've been following the draft. It's probably one of the best quarterback classes as far as talent at the top and overall depth. Think they invest a first round pick into a quarterback, and really start to really rebuild, add maybe some pieces on the offensive line if you're able. Get off some of these older players with these large contracts. Like I said, even if Tampa Bay gets in to the playoffs, they happen to win this division. I don't see them beating a San Francisco. I don't see them beating a Philadelphia. I don't see them beating a Dallas. And that's who you have to kind of have. That's the measuring stick when we're talking about the NFC. In my opinion, those are the top 3 teams. That is the measuring stick. How well do you match up with them if you get into a dog fight in the playoffs with them? Now, I don't see Tampa Bay matching up very well with them. Hell, I don't see Tampa Bay matching up well with a Detroit. I don't see Tampa Bay matching up well with the Minnesota. I think the talent gap is just too wide to win against those teams, but in their division, have a chance to be competitive. It's a lot of question marks for each and every one of these teams in this division. That's why I wanted to start with this division. I thought it was, to me, the most intriguing, the most wide open. No one can say, hey, they're the prohibitive favorite. Some people would lean towards Carolina. Some people would lean towards Atlanta. Not too many people lean towards Tampa Bay. And before Kamara's suspension, a lot of people would have been leaning towards New Orleans, but we'll see. We'll see. Go ahead, kind of wrap it up, man. That's kind of my breakdown, my pick. Like I said, Tampa Bay, I don't see making any noise this year, but if they do, I'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm curious to see what Kyle Trask looks like with some real game reps, some real time on the field. I'm curious to see what he looks like um, coming out of preseason. Like I said, a lot of reports you've been getting, he's kind of penciled in as the starter. I don't know how wide of a margin it is, um, but I'm curious to see what it looks like. Hey, let young man get some burn, let him get some play. It's not like this team is Super Bowl or bust, as they have been for the past years with Brady at the helm. Let's see what Kyle Trask has, and if he's not as good as advertised, if he's not the future at quarterback, like I said, this upcoming draft has a lot of quarterback talent that'll be potentially out on the board. Tampa Bay, if they're bad enough, they'll be high enough to get one of these players. So I'm looking forward to what Tampa Bay does this season. I'm curious to see if Todd Bowles is going to be in the position to be trying to save his job and trying to ride the Baker Mayfield train. Trust me, dude, you hit your wagon to Baker Mayfield, you'll be in the unemployment line, sooner than you think. As always, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you come back tomorrow. We're going to wrap up the division. Then on Friday, we're going to get into the NFL news of the week. We're going to talk about the running back market. What is that looking like? It's been reported that Saquon Barkley is thinking about sitting out games for the regular season. Speaking of sitting out, it's also been reported that my team, them boys, may have a problem on the hand with Zach Martin. He's looking to get some more money. We'll talk about that on Friday and all other NFL news as we kind of, get tuned up, get started. Hey, we're in training camp along with those guys. I hope you're along for the ride. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And remember the phrase that pays around here: sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.